This is Mortal Shell, developed by Cold Symmetry and published by Playstack. Mortal Shell, as you can probably see just from the footage, is a Souls-like game. Third person, very deliberate, very brutal combat game. This is normally the part where I tell you what the story of Mortal Shell is, but I don't know what the story is because it is very like the original Dark Souls or the original Demon Souls in that you're not told anything. You basically have to like figure it out as you go. You're probably going to be wrong. The only thing I've gleaned from it is you're some weird, horrible muscle leeched guy and you like inhabit the corpses of dead heroes, and that's your immortal shell, if you want to use the game's title. So you inhabit dead bodies and they're your character for the game. And then some point I ran into a tower and there was somebody with a mask, and then a giant dude who was tied to the tower, and he's like, free me, you gotta find the MacGuffins, and I guess that's what I gotta do. I don't know what the story is. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm waiting for the wiki. So what goes with the gameplay, I guess. So as I said, you're a weird, like gooey, sinewy, jerky man, and you inhabit different heroes. There are 4 in total. You get 1 at the beginning, or more or less, not quite at the beginning, after the tutorial. They have set stats, which you, as far as I can tell, cannot change. So your initial character has like average health, average stamina, we'll say, and he starts with an average sword. He's very much Joe average. The other 3 shells that you can find, because they're not given to you, you need to go find them, and good God, good luck finding them, because they are out of the way. Anyway, you've got a guy who basically reverses those stats, and like your original guy has more health than he has stamina. Another guy will have a bit more stamina than he has health, and then the last 2 guys are just complete extremes. There's a guy who has lots of health, pretty much no stamina, or the guy who has tons of stamina and no health. But he can teleport when he dodges, which is really cool, and it would be even cooler if he didn't die in one swing. But there you go. Additionally to that, there are 4 different weapons that are not locked to characters. Any character can use them, and they range from really fast, really stabby, really shit damage, to really slow, really heavy, but a shit ton of damage. You know, they're all in between. And again, really hard to find. I could almost use that as the subtitle for the game. Mortal Shell, figure it out yourself. It tells you nothing. It does mix a lot of the Dark Souls, Demon Souls stuff, and marries it a little bit with Sekiro. So combat-wise, it's very much Dark Souls. It's very slow, very deliberate, and very punishing if you mess up, and not that rewarding if you don't mess up. Enemies hit really hard, and they're pretty unforgiving. Combat-wise, there's no shield, and there's no block. What you do have is the ability to harden your shell. So a bit like Metapod from Pokemon. You can use harden, and it will be effective. Might be more familiar with the concept of super armor. So you can basically tank 1 hit. You won't take damage from it. You won't lose your balance or anything like that. So you can tank 1 hit and go through it, and then wait for that to recharge. Your other option is, you have this kind of brand that you have to go find. Again, not something you're given. You have to go find it, but you can use that to parry enemies. And that opens them up to like a finishing blow like Sekiro. Like they get the red dot and everything, and you press the button and he kills them. That's also one of the only ways you can get health back. There is no automatically refilled health drink. There's no Estus. There's no magical gourd from Sekiro. There's none of that. There's only these little mushrooms that give you really shit health, or there's kill guys with parries, which is really hard to do. It is not as forgiving as Sekiro's parry system, which is why Sekiro's parry system works and why Mortal Shell does not. Sekiro, at least if you don't get the parry right, you block, you're fine. If you get the parry wrong in Mortal Shell, you just eat the hit, which isn't great. Additionally, there are no like fast travel points, like there's no bonfires and stuff like that where you can, you know, catch a breather. I've made a bit of progress, so I can just reset here and I'm good. Like I can lock that progress in. No, you can't. You gotta do it all in one go. You have like a central hub if you happen to find it. Again, they don't start you there, you need to go find it. But you do have a central hub where you can sort of upgrade characters. You don't upgrade their stats. Their stats appear to be locked in, but you get like chance to get health back on an attack, or chance to not lose your footing, etc. It's nothing, there's no way to power level your way out of a problem. Like if you're having a problem with an enemy and you feel like, if I just had a bit more health I could probably do this. No. It won't let you do that, or at least I haven't found a way to do that if that's the case. I'll give it one thing that it is doing that I really do like, I actually enjoy it quite a bit, is a familiarity system with the items, in that you don't know what an item does right away. You need to use it first, which kind of gets past the idea of just picking up a load of shit in Dark Souls or Sekiro or Neo or whatever and never using it. Like, at least this guy, you're like, I wonder what this actually does, and you use it and you're like, oh, okay, it does that. And the more you use an item, the more familiar you get with it, and if you gain maximum familiarity with something, its effect changes or improves. So like I said, the shitty mushroom becomes a less shitty mushroom the more familiar you are with it. But there's another one that is straight up poisonous to you and is bad for you. But if you gain max familiarity with you, suddenly it's poison resistant now. Like, it's completely the opposite, which is really interesting, and I actually do like that. But for Mortal Shell, I am absolutely waiting until the wiki is fleshed out and like I can get a map to show me where all the stuff is, because I like must have spent 8 hours playing that game and I got fucking nowhere. So yeah, I'm a wait on that one. Unless you guys want to have brutality just shoved in your face, you can check it out instead. This was recorded on PS4, but it's also on Xbox One and PC, although I think it's an Epic Store game, so you might want to check that out beforehand as well. This is Inmost, developed by Hidden Layer Games and published by Chucklefish. Inmost is a narrative-driven 2D platformer game. You play 3 different characters in a kind of interconnecting story, which kind of weaves in and out of like a fantastical castle and then kind of merges back into the real world at some points as well. For the majority of the game, you play as, I don't know, John Inmost, he isn't given a name, who's trying to reunite with some kind of ghost rabbit animal thing. I don't know, he's chasing a white rabbit anyway, you know. I mean, that has massive fairy tale connotations as it is, but it takes it through a pretty dark, pretty grim environment. It reminds me a lot of like Limbo and that kind of thing, in that like there's a lot of puzzles that are there just to fucking kill you almost immediately kind of thing. It's not as like brutal as Limbo as it comes out, like it's a lot nicer about that kind of thing. Most of it is just a feeling of general dread and uneasiness, especially when you mix back and forth with the different characters. So you'll play as John Inmost for a bit, who's your kind of typical platformy character. He doesn't really have any combat abilities or anything like that. He's just trying to get from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen, or up to the top of the screen, and does various things to do that, pushing and pulling levers and that kind of thing. You then have a knight character, who is obviously considerably more offensive. His sections are a lot faster, very heavy combat focus, and he is somewhat in league with a big evil dude. And then you have the little girl character who is in the real world and is going through some kind of family crisis. It's not her own necessarily, or I mean it's her own family, but it's like the mother and father are having some issues that are spilling over into her life, and they are being reimagined as fantastical elements, which is where John Inmost and the knight character come from. I really liked Inmost. It's a bit short, but that's not a bad thing, because it is a narrative-focused game. I do find narrative games that go on for a bit long lose a bit of steam. This doesn't. Like, it keeps it going for a good while. Puzzles are interesting. They're not overly difficult. You know, you might fail them once or twice and go, okay, yeah, okay, I think I've got it figured out now. So I do like that. Somewhat buggy in that I was able to skip 2 puzzles without really trying that hard. So maybe something to look out for. Hopefully there's like patches or something to fix that. The story is like I'll say it's pretty, pretty depressing. It's a very sad story. I don't want to go like in spoilers and stuff, but yeah, like you may be like a bit weepy after playing the game. It's definitely not a feel-good game. It's definitely I want to be sad today kind of game. But I did really like it. I think if you're into these kind of pixely 2D platformer kind of games, you'll probably enjoy this as well. The platforming itself isn't overly taxing. It's mostly the puzzles that are more difficult, and then the story of how like the three different characters actually come together to make like a cohesive narrative is really well done, and I really enjoyed the story, and I think you guys will like it too. So Inmost originally came out on Apple Arcade actually last year, but I don't cover Apple Arcade because I don't own any of those devices. But anyway, it's out now on Switch and PC. This was recorded on Switch. Check it out if you like.
They went into the lands and they gathered the pain. And thus the pain multiplied. And their own hearts blackened.
This is Spiritfarer, developed and published by Thunder Lotus Games. Spiritfarer is a kind of cozy management sim. You play Stella, accompanied by her cat, Daffodil, and you are taking over the job of Charon, who is a fairy master of the dead in Greek mythology, and in Spiritfarer as well. It's also his job. It was his job to ferry the spirits of the dead, help them get over whatever it was that was keeping them in purgatory, and let them move on to the afterlife. But that's your job now. He's out. He's on retirement or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's your job now. You're the new Spiritfarer, and it's now your job to collect spirits of the dead, help them get over whatever it is that is keeping them, and help them pass on to the afterlife by passing them through the Ever Door. Gameplay-wise, this involves picking up a collection of passengers, characters, and more or less just helping them get through whatever their quest lines happen to be. Some of them need to reconcile their past, some of them they need to come to terms with like their husband, some of them were looking for a family, and you give them the approximation of a family, maybe that makes them happy. Some of them literally don't want anything and just want you to take them straight to the door, which is pretty funny. But then they give you quests from beyond the grave, which is less funny, but there you go. The characters are all really interesting, really diverse. Some of them you'll like, some of them will be kind of meh, some of them you will just want off the boat as fast as possible. So they all have their own little intricacies in character, which is really great. Some of them, are a bit more interesting than others, sure, but that's how you go. Additionally to helping them out, you do a lot of building and a lot of crafting, which is where the kind of management sim stuff comes into. So your boat kind of goes about this fairly large map from island to island, just collecting people or collecting resources, performing quests and that kind of thing. But additionally to that, you're building different buildings on your boat. So you're building dwellings for the different characters. They all have their own distinct place. They all want to live in their own place. You have the kitchen for making food for them. You have like a garden for like cultivating vegetables and such, orchards for cultivating fruits. You've got various farming equipment somehow fits on a boat, don't ask questions. Then you've got a smelter for some reason for making iron, and a forge for turning that iron into ingots for some reason. Now it's not important, don't worry about it. It's just a lot of crafting stuff that you can do to build things, to build other things, to help the people pass on. And that's really the crux of the game, is to just help these characters. And there's a bit of a meta story going on here, in what this is a kind of fantastical version of what Stella's job is in the real world, before she came to Spiritfarer land. We won't go too far into that, because spoilers, but like there are similarities in characters, similarities in what her job used to be and what her job is now as Spiritfarer, which are really interesting. I didn't get until actually pretty late in the game, so maybe I'm a dumbass. But anyway, game does get a tiny bit repetitive after a while, but that is kind of the sort of part and parcel with management sims, in that they do get repetitive. That's, I think, kind of the meditative quality of those kind of games, is that you can just lose yourself in the daily actions of tending to the people and tending to your crops and making food and seeing if everyone's okay, do a quest, etc. You know, you have that rhythm and that routine that you get into those kind of games, which is always interesting. And then you definitely do get like attached to some of the characters, and you do feel like you feel for them in their story. Like some of them are genuinely moving, some of them are just pretty funny, but at the end of the day, like they all died. They all died not necessarily getting to do whatever it is that was keeping them here, and you do definitely feel the absence of the character when you do like complete their quest line, if you like. When you do eventually help them pass over, you know, they're gone. You know, they're not on the boat anymore. You're not interacting with them daily. You're not getting the different character quirks and stuff. So like you do feel their absence, but I do feel Spiritfarer is like a really well done version of the management sim. It has a very tight scope, so it doesn't go nuts with like Stardew Valley. There's so much fucking shit you can do in Stardew Valley, it's ridiculous. Spiritfarer is it's like a little bit more contained. It does mean that the repetition comes in a bit earlier because of that, but when you do have a very high overarching goal, I think that does really help. I really enjoyed Spiritfarer. It's really good for like an after work not detox, what do I want to say, unwind kind of thing. You know, just to help me relax and things like that, even if it is about death, but still. Anyway, this is recorded on Switch. No, it's not. This is recorded on PS4. But Spiritfarer is available on... Let's get my nuts. Not those nuts. These nuts. Spiritfarer is available on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Give that a check. This is Raji, an ancient epic developed and published by Nodding Heads Games. Raji is a top-down kind of hack and slash game set in like Hindu folklore and Balinese mythology. You play Raji, who is looking for her little brother Golu, who has been kidnapped by various demons and such, and he's being carted off to who knows where, and it's your job to go after him, but you need help. So the gods have decided to nominate you as their person who's going to fight all the demons, while they just kick back and just, you know, you got this, go ahead, it's fine. So the game plays out as a kind of top-down adventure game. There's a bit of platforming, there's some wall running, a bit of parkour, and there's hacking and slashing of demons and such. I didn't play Raji for too long, which we'll get to in a minute, but first I just want to talk about some of the good stuff from the game. I'm really liking like the folklore and stuff, because I'm not like super versed in like Indian or Hindu folklore and stuff, so, and I am interested in mythology, so it was good to get that kind of intro, if you like, to the different stories, the different characters and their tales and things like that. That was really cool. I really like the parkour stuff, like the wall running and you know, flips and running up poles and that kind of thing. It just don't really get enough of it. I could do with more games having this kind of stuff in it. Like, I do feel like the game is at its best as a kind of exploration and or intro to mythology kind of thing. Where I feel it falls down is the combat. Raji, at least with the initial weapons, is very sluggish. The spear she gets, even what would amount to her quick attack, is quite slow. I mean, she does have a lot of options. She like has a lot of movement about the battlefield. She can like run up walls, jump off them and attack that way as well. You do get additional weapons like a bow. The bow has its own issues in that you can't, like, it doesn't auto target enemies. You need to like move towards them to like have the targeter pick them up. and then you target them. But if they move too far away, you lose them, and it can lock onto other people, and it's kind of really annoying to actually attack the person you want to attack with the bow. Another thing I will point out is that there's no real way to heal yourself. You have to defeat enemies to actually get any health back, which can be a problem when enemies can be very fast and hit very hard. So it can be really annoying in that sense, and that's mostly the reason why I stopped playing the game. I just was getting really frustrated with the combat. It's not that it was hard, it just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. It just wasn't as fluid as I would like. It just seemed a bit clunkier than I would have liked. And then in addition to that, I even dived into the controls to see if I was missing something, and there's a lock target button. I was like, okay, that should solve my bow problem, and it does nothing. So I don't know if that's a bug or if it's for a different weapon or a different setup or something, I don't know. But yeah, that kind of turned me off the game. Now, to be fair, this is all on the Switch. The Switch is not, compared to the other platforms this game is on, it's not the most powerful one, so it's possible, and this is this developer's first game, so there's teething problems with multi-platform stuff, so it's possible that it runs a bit smoother and a bit nicer on PC or PlayStation or Xbox or something like that. But I'm playing this on the Switch. This is what you're seeing, that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm playing. It just doesn't feel nice to play, which is unfortunate because I really like the mythology stuff, and that's why I pushed through with it. But yeah, it can't. If it's not fun to play, then it's it's not fun. Raji, an Ancient Epic. This is recorded on Switch, but it's also on PC, apparently PS4 and Xbox, but I don't think I saw it. Maybe it's out now on them. Anyway, yeah, maybe check it out on a different platform and see how that turns out. Those are some of the games I played for August in 2020. Probably the standout for me would have been Spiritfarer. It's just a really nice, chilled time. Really moving story and just getting to know the different characters and then being somewhat upset that they're not on the boat anymore. And then the kind of just management of your ship and the different characters, and just it was a nice fun time. From a trophy standpoint, I'm a little annoyed that I have to play the game through again. Because there's one trophy that you can only get one way and one you can get another way. Anyway, that's just a little annoying aside. Inmost also really good for completely opposite reasons. It's just really chilling, pretty sad, pretty depressing story once you get all the way through it. But the puzzles were a lot of fun, and I really like the atmosphere that the game was going for. Mortal Shell, I just haven't played enough of it. I like what I have played, small amounts of it. It is very frustrating, more frustrating than Dark Souls, Sekiro have been. I feel like they're going for it to be actually harder than Dark Souls. And by doing that, they've stripped out a lot of the helping things that Dark Souls has, like Estus, like power leveling and such, and that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Again, I am waiting for a wiki to tell me where all the things are, so I'm not just running into a brick wall while playing the game. Raji, just performance really was an issue on the Switch. I have seen that it is coming to PS4 and Xbox at some stage in October. We'll probably wait to see what the price is on that, because I don't really want to pay full price for it again. But it would be interesting to see if performance is ironed out on consoles, something like that, or the more powerful consoles anyway. So looking into September, big surprise actually, Hades has finally hit version 1.0. So it is out now on Switch and out of early access, and I've been playing it a good bit, and it is really, really good. It will almost certainly be my standout for that month, probably. Also, I've been playing a bit of Paradise Killer, which is a kind of indie version of Danganronpa, and if you're not familiar with that, it's very colorful characters in a murder mystery thing, and you just need to figure out what happened. But there's zaniness and weird mythology going on, which is super confusing, but I'm really enjoying it. And two games I haven't had a chance to play yet, but Going Under, is another roguelike, which has unfortunate that it's coming out in the same month as Hades, but there you go. But it's got a really interesting premise in that you're an intern in like a Silicon Valley tech company, but it's on top of like a hell dimension or something like that. So periodically you're thrown into the dungeons to deal with things. Again, I haven't played it yet, so I'm not entirely sure how well the premise holds up, but it sounded funny, so I thought I would give it a shot. And then last, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a visual novel that I have heard some very good things about. People are really, really enjoying it. It's some kind of time-traveling mech visual novel thing. Don't know a whole lot about it, but I mean, there's a lot of buzz, so I will give that a look too. Otherwise, in October, I will be looking to do some LPs from Spooky Fun Time LPs. Or LP, maybe, I don't know. We'll see how much time and energy and effort I feel like putting in, I guess. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.